Hello, everyone, and welcome to VOD of Consciousness with Sientir. I'm Sientir, and while last time we were doing Winds of Change, I kind of have been wanting to wander back into the Tomb of the Primeval Kings. Now, a little bit of backstory on this location before I venture into it. This was originally, actually, even more backstory. So when Prophecy is first released, so the first campaign, which was this general area, the PvP was handled with specific zones that you'd reach in specific spots. So, like, there was the competitive isles here and stuff like that. What happened, and this is ore, what happened over time is specifically when Factions was released, they needed a central PvP hub, and that's where we got the Great Temple of Balthazar area, which I'm not going to go to right now, but this area is where all of the PvP stuff is now centralized, but when the game first released, that wasn't the case. So for Hero's Ascent, which is kind of one of the higher forms of PvP, it used to take place in the Tomb of the Primeval Kings. However, once things were changed that way, Hero's Ascent took place on the Zaishan Isles, where the Great Temple of Balthazar is and all of that. The Tomb of Primeval Kings kind of got exploded by all of these crazy tentacle things. And the whole area looks radically different than it used to. So what we can find here is instead a new elite zone for PvE instead of the main PvP area. It says the evil disturbance has grown even more dangerous. Do not risk entry until you speak to me. So we need to talk to some of these guys here before we venture into this area. And this guy here, Acolyte Jaikaro. The Zaishan Order has its origins in Kantha, I believe, for anyone wondering about the names. But he says, General Yudokado of the Zaishan Order has decreed that all those seeking the Hall of Heroes should now enter through a gateway in the Battle Isles. That portal is safe, for now, from the tendrils of chaos you find enshrouding the Tomb of the Primeval Kings. So this tomb used to be an entrance to the Hall of Heroes, and it is not anymore. Well, it kind of is, but a corrupted version. If you seek the Hall of Heroes, first use the ship off the coast of Lanzar to travel to the Great Temple of Balthazar. My brothers will get you from there. And he talks about all of that sort of stuff. And he says, by the way, if you seek the hirelings, that's the henchmen. So, like, you can see here, Zaishan healer henchmen. That wants to hear, you will find they have already departed for the Battle Isles. I believe I can still hear the obnoxious one. Orion, I think his name was, even at this distance. So this whole area has transformed with that release, became this crazy place it is now. It used to not look like this. I'm not sure. There's probably, you can find old screenshots and stuff, but so this is probably going to take multiple episodes to go through, because as it turns out, there's a lot of steps to this, which is why I want to start at the beginning of one of my recording sessions. I have done a number of things with my party. One of the things that you'll notice right off the bat is I'm trying to, in general, run a lot of ritualist secondaries. So the reason for this is there's a skill that enemies in this area will use that has special effects against the primary, or the core professions of warrior, necromancer, mesmer, elementalist, monk, and why am I missing? The necromancer, monk, mesmer, elementalist, whatever. You get the idea. Ranger also. That's the other one. However, this particular group of enemies does not affect the 4 added professions of Paragon, Ritualist, Dervish, and Assassin. Therefore, where possible, I've switched to the Ritualist secondary for the resurrection skill, Flesh of My Flesh. It's really important there aren't any resurrection shrines in this area, so only my monks do not have resurrection skills. I'm even bringing my own resurrection skill in Signet of Return. So all of the rest of them have Flesh of My Flesh, which is an okay resurrection skill. This is kind of a thing of note. I don't know how difficult this is going to be for this particular party to do. It can be very difficult. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so I'm just going in there with, well, an improper shield, actually, now that I look at it. Do I have... Yeah, I need to switch to this shield. This shield is motivation, and I'm currently using a motivation spec because I want to have additional defensive capabilities for my team, because this area can hurt. So I'm going to see how this goes, but something that I wanted to do, there's, like I said, a number of maps to it, but let's just go ahead and, let's, like I said, talk to him first. There can be no doubt that this entrance to the Hall of Heroes has been corrupted. The Hall of Heroes, by the way, is kind of like an afterlife area that heroes compete in to kind of receive recognition or something. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But it says, deep beneath the tomb of the Primeval Kings, an ancient evil stirs within the darkness. We know not who this enemy is, but its vile taint is already apparent. Its servants wait on the other side, ready to devour any who attempt to enter. We do not know our enemy's motives. We know only the enemy must be stopped before more darkness seeps into the world, before other gateways to the Hall of Heroes become infected with this chaos. We ask you join us, character name, as we cross this corrupted threshold. Together, our combined might may be enough to drive these vile creatures back to the depths from whence they came. So that's the basics of what's going on here. So this is the loading screen for the Hall of Heroes type area. This acolyte says, "You there, come speak to us if you learn more about the mission ahead." So we can talk to this acolyte Kaizan. It says, "May Balthazar bless your weapon of choice. The enemies you face appear to have staked out territories for themselves. Those you will encounter first are the weakest, relatively speaking. After you eliminate every foe on one level of the rift, you will progress to the next and the next until all enemies have been eliminated. According to one of our surviving scouts, the last battleground is where you will find the master of the enemies you have faced thus far, surrounded by his most able lieutenants. Should you reach this leader, whoever it may be, you must destroy him, or this chaos may never be put to rest." So there's a couple of notable things that happen at the end of this. There's a victory chest, but I'll talk about it if we get there. He just talks about Servants of Chaos coming here or whatever. So you'll see there's lots of Scythes of Chaos. They do not actually wield scythes. He says, "May the blessings of Lord Balthazar go with you. We shall pray for your safe return, but remember, steel and strength add a weight to any prayer." Okay, so the important thing here is, I think there are some pop-ups we're going to have to worry about. But there's different types of enemies. So the Scythes of Chaos are actually Mesmers, if I remember correctly. And Fingers of Chaos is precisely this skill. Oh my goodness. So you can see that we've been slammed by a ton of awful garbage. So we basically need to be careful to not party wipe here, because these guys hit hard. And I'm just going to spam my things to try to help. A couple of them are kind of Healy type deals. Yeah, you can see the pop-ups. We've got aggro from the back here. I'm going to tell my guys to come back this way. Okay. This is going to require me to focus a lot on what's going on, by the way. By themselves, Grasps of Darknesses, or Grasps of Insanity shouldn't be too bad. It's mostly if they come in larger numbers. This one is healing one. Power is yours, helps provide regeneration. But as you can see, those enemies die relatively easily. It's really the Mesmers that are the big issue. So Milani's pretty tanky. They're channeling Duena's power. So I'm just chilling, letting Elias raise some minions. Looks like he's wanting to... No, I don't know why he's just standing around. But it's important to have some of these minions up because they provide a meat shield. Yeah, right there, change souls. Those enemies kind of like respawn. I think they have stuff to help try to prevent farming behaviors. But it looks like we've basically raised what we can. So let's go ahead and go this direction. I don't need to Elias up. And you can see that there's a lot of patrols. Yeah. One of the things we need to worry about is we're just going to get slammed with all sorts of garbage. And we want to make sure we're not getting wiped out by our energy getting run out of us. By the way, I cleaned up my inventory some, so I brought some Power Stones of Courage. Those allow us to restore death penalty, so if we're getting to the point where we have just a ton of death penalty on everyone, I can use that to remove that death penalty. So basically what we're going to have is we're just going to have a bunch of different rooms, and we have to kill all of the enemies in all of the rooms. That's the basic flow of how this dungeon works. So I'm going to actually go up onto this bridge and go over there to take out those guys, and then get the last group. Thankfully, most of these enemies aren't undead. They're demons that are fleshy. So that helps. So one of the other things that I've done that I should talk about is I've set Gwen up as an illusion mage, as illusion mesmer, and she just has a ton of stuff to punish attacking, which means that when enemies attack, they're just going to take a ton of damage. So she's really actually outputting a lot of damage. One of the other things that I've done is Olias is not able to run the normal elite that I'd give him, so I'm giving him Discord, which can potentially do a lot of damage. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for him to use. I've tried to make sure that I've got some conditions going on. Basically, this is very low energy and very low recharge for high amounts of damage, but but the target, in order to have effect, has to be under a condition and a hex or enchantment. So I have enough stuff going on with hexes between... how do I get down from here? I think I need to cross over the bridge again. Between Prius, which has Painful Bond. He has Painful Bond here. One has some Mesmer hexes, but they're pretty short-lived. Daedalon has some longer-lasting hexes, vaguely longer-lasting. So those are kind of my major sources for hexes. And then I've tried to add some condition damage. Hopefully it works okay. I can pop him up and see if he ever casts it. Okay, I'm just kind of pre-buffing my guys, so that way when... Like, one of the things is when the minion wall goes in first like that, it really absorbs a lot of damage. So you can see that this Grasp of Insanity is hexed and conditioned, which makes it possible to smack with the thing. We're doing okay. Yeah, so he just used Discord. So he will cast it on stuff. He's going to spend a lot of his time raising minions. So at this point, we basically have a timer waiting for the next mission. And so that's going to go ahead and conclude this episode, I think, just looking at the clock. Wait, no, we've got a few minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the beginning of the next zone, and we will end sometime there. This might help. I'm not sure if being a Lightbringer helps or not. I'm not sure if these enemies count as demonic servants of Abaddon or not. So any other way, from there we go to Scarred Earth. This zone is kind of nasty. It has a bunch of worms. And it has a bunch of Driders that have some nasty stuff going on. Yeah, these guys in particular need to go down. The Terra Web Driders, yeah, and you can see Milani's down already. The Terra Web Driders, Daedalon, you focus on that. So the Banished Dream Riders are Mesmers. And you can see we've got a couple of scythes over there as well. Some of these starting spots are really hard until you have some of your minions up and some of your defenses going. Area of Zeal will help. Nope, I don't want you on my face. They do use Fear Me, which is kind of obnoxious, but honestly, we have a lot of defense against these particular guys. Okay, and that's going to go ahead and bring this particular recording to a close. So until next time, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.